Good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. Before I ask for a motion for the adoption of the agenda, I think I'd like to put some added item 9.10 correspondence by Bobby Como, who is coordinator for the Special Olympics in Clare. If you agree with this agenda, proposed by Councillor Hill and seconded by Councillor Cooper. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Number 3 is declaration of conflict of interest. Does anybody have a conflict of interest in any of the items tonight? No. Number 4, we don't have any presentations. Number 5, the adoption of the minutes. On April 16, 2025, we had the regular council meeting. Does somebody want to propose? Proposed by Councillor DeVoe and seconded by Councillor Hill. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. On May 7th, 2025, committee and council meeting. Council and committee meeting. Everything okay with this one? If not, somebody propose. Proposed by Councillor Como and seconded by Councillor Evans. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. Everybody's making motions this evening. It's nice. Number 6, business arising from previous council meetings. We don't have any item under that one. Number 7, I see that I don't have my report ready for tonight, so I'll have it ready for the next meeting if you agree with me. If you want, I can send an email copy. If not. Number 8, official statements from members of council. Does anybody have two? Councillor DeVoe has an official. Thank you, Mr. Warden. I'd just like to say that today is the feast of Anita, birthday of Anita Leblanc. Anita Leblanc from Comoville. She's 90 years old today. If possible, I'd like to send her a certificate, and if yes, I would be happy to present it myself. Does everybody agree to present this certificate? Okay. And Councillor Cooper. Thank you. I have 2 small things to mention. First of all, I'd like to take a moment to say that the event that there was an event on the May 10th, and also the graduation at St. Anne's University. I'd like to congratulate everybody who are contributing to our community, and I'd like to congratulate all the people who were here in Clare to serve, and I want to tell the new president that he has a good mandate. And my second mention, I'd like to congratulate all the persons included in the 4 team the regional Acadian Games that were held in Paraba this year, and I'd like to commend the participation of our youth in Clare. We're really proud of them that the community does good, and also the ultimate fiddly badminton and others who will come out at first place and will be representing Nova Scotia at the Maritime Regional. Is there anybody else who wants to say something this evening? So this brings us to correspondence. We have 9.1, the Honourable Kim Maslin, Minister of Emergency Management.
It's going to be undertaken by the province. The Departments of Emergency Management and Municipal Affairs greatly value the essential role fire services play in ensuring the safety of Nova Scotians during emergencies across the province. Firefighters put their lives at risk every day to protect our communities, and we are deeply grateful for their unwavering dedication. The Fire Services Association of Nova Scotia is conducting a comprehensive governance review of fire services in Nova Scotia. This review will focus on ensuring best practices are in place and that our firefighters are fully supported and protected. Key areas of examination will include governance, operations, communications, interoperability, human resources, mental health supports, training, equipment, facilities, fire dispatch, and funding. We recognize that previous reviews have been conducted. However, this governance review will build upon those efforts and consider the growing impact of climate change on the frequency and severity of weather events, such as floods, wildfires, and hurricanes. It is vital that the governance of fire services evolves to address these new challenges, ensuring that we are fully prepared for unprecedented weather events. Your input is a critical part of this process. We strongly encourage municipalities to participate in the governance review and provide your valuable feedback. By working together, we can create a stronger, more resilient, and responsive fire service for Nova Scotia. Additionally, we would like to take a moment to address a common concern regarding the Nova Scotia Guard. The Guard is designed to complement existing resources in the province, not to replace them. We are committed to ensuring that firefighters who volunteer for the Nova Scotia Guard will not be deployed outside their communities in ways that could leave their fire departments understaffed. Members will be deployed based on their availability, ensuring they can continue serving their local communities. Thank you for your ongoing dedication to the safety of Nova Scotians. We look forward to collaborating with you in this important initiative and working together to strengthen fire services across the province. Sincerely, Kim Masland, Minister of Emergency Services. Minister of Emergency Management.
Des questions, des commentaires, juste...
Questions or comments on this letter? I don't know if it takes us as long as we're taking to have a report ready, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. Second is Pierre Potvin, Vice President of Taxation, BCE and Bell Canada.
Phone facilities and services supplied in your municipality for the year ended December 31st, 2024 amounts to $618,662. Accordingly, the taxable amount based on 4% of the gross subscriber station revenues is $24,746. This amount was determined pursuant to Section 21 of Chapter 156 of the Incorporate Maritime Telegraph and Telephone Company Limited Act. As for the payment, a separate notification will be sent to you by May 1st for confirmation of the electronic payment for the amount stated above. Should additional information be required, please feel free to contact Ricardo Olivieri at 514-391-5402. Sincerely, Pierre Potvin, Vice President, Taxation, BCE, and Bell Canada. So this is an amount. We include every year in our operational budget. It's always an estimate. Essentially, it's based on the amount of landlines in particular that are used throughout the community. So it's always a moving target. So we this year, if memory serves, I think we budgeted roughly 23,000 for it. So we're pretty much on point for this year in terms of projecting that specific revenue item.
Des questions, des commentaires?
Any questions or comments on this? 9.3, Honorable John Lohr, Minister of Municipal Affairs.
The Department of Municipal Affairs has been supporting municipalities with historic investments that are helping to build strong, prosperous communities. On this point, there is always more work to do, and we are excited to keep building on this momentum. We are pleased to announce that the department has added an additional $1 million to the Provincial Capital Assistance Program for the 2025-2026 program year. And on a go-forward basis, This increase in funding is the result of sunsetting 2 annual programs who we have offered previously: the Beautification and Streetscaping Program and the Community Works Program. In our review of these programs and in consideration of our provincial priorities for housing, growth, and affordability, it was clear that these funds could have a greater impact on municipalities through the PCAP. We need to ensure municipalities have systems and services in place that are foundational to their growth and sustainability. That is why we are focused on delivering the greatest impact possible with programs that help municipalities to make strategic, intentional use of the provincial and federal funding opportunities available. The reprofiling of these programs will increase the PCAP budget from $690,000 to $1.69 million, increasing the provincial support in the preliminary stages of infrastructure projects. We will continue to work with our municipalities to ensure that the programs we are offering are the ones that meet their most critical needs. As always, we are grateful for your collaboration in working to strengthen and grow our communities, and we welcome your feedback on how we can deliver programs that will maximize impact for our municipalities and for Nova Scotians. Sincerely, the Honourable John A. Lohr, Minister of Municipal Affairs.
Any questions or comments on that letter? Do we have any projects on the go that might fit under this? The Beautification and Streetscape program is one that we applied for almost every year. There weren't large amounts. Normally it was the maximum we got was about 25,000. So these are like boutique programs, but they were programs that were useful for smaller projects. Community Works program, not too familiar with it. I don't think it's something that we've applied for, at least recently. The PCAP program, we haven't applied for that for a few years, but like the minister says, that is more for preliminary work in preparation for major infrastructure projects. It has certain usefulness if we look at design, architectural engineering, costing, those types of things. That program can help in preparation phase for larger infrastructure projects to make sure we get off on the right foot. Thank you. Any questions or comments? No? 9.4, Colin Boyd, Regional Director General for Canadian Heritage.
On behalf of the Minister of Canadian Culture and Identity, Parks Canada, and Quebec Lieutenant, it is my pleasure to inform you that your application for funding has been approved. A grant in the amount of $3,630 will be awarded to help your organization carry out its activities under the Celebration and Commemoration Program, Celebrate Canada component. This funding will be allocated over one government fiscal year, 2025-2026, and will be subject to certain terms and conditions, the appropriation of funds by Parliament, and the budget levels of the program. One of our program representatives may contact you in the near future to review the terms and conditions and answer any questions you may have related to this funding. In closing, I would like to take this opportunity to wish you and the members of your organization the greatest success in your endeavors. Sincerely, Colin Boyd, Regional Director General, Canadian Heritage.
Any questions or comments on that item? Canada Day, what will be done? That's a good question. I haven't discussed it with our recreation manager, but I imagine the programming will be similar to last year, but I can't confirm whether it'll take place at the Richelieu. Yes, it'll take place at St. Anne's. It looks like it'll be held at St. Anne's this year. Stay tuned. Questions or comments? 9.5, Honorable Becky Drouin, Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
to inform you of the forthcoming adaptation of the Additional Officer Program, or AOP, which is being instituted to better align with the ongoing and evolving challenges in policing in Nova Scotia. In 2007, the Nova Scotia Department of Justice inaugurated the AOP to provide financial support to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and municipal police agencies for the remuneration and benefits of police officers to address evolving public safety concerns. This funding was designed to support the establishment of street crime enforcement units, school safety resource officers, and specialized units focused on forensic identification and major crimes. Initially branded as Boots on the Street, the program aimed to enhance police visibility and bolster public confidence in law enforcement, particularly in relation to the investigation of illegal drugs, proceeds of crime, thefts, assaults, and child pornography. The Department of Justice Public Safety and Security Division has conducted a comprehensive review of all factors influencing both the present and future state of organized crime responses. Consultations with Nova Scotia Chiefs of Police and RCMP senior leadership have been undertaken in this regard. The AOP is now entering the transition planning stage with the objective of modernizing the program to reflect the contemporary context of policing. The current funding level of approximately $17 million will be maintained, and we will adequately analyze how to best utilize this investment in collaboration with police agencies. We are confident that these changes will enhance the efficacy of the AOP and better serve the needs of our communities. Please be advised that the police leaders in your jurisdiction have been engaged throughout the review of the AOP and have been updated on the intended transition at the Provincial Executive Committee meeting on April 8th, 2025. We will continue to provide you with updates on this work as it progresses. I appreciate your cooperation and support as we collaboratively strive to enhance public safety and security in Nova Scotia. Yours sincerely, Becky Druhan, Attorney General and Minister of Justice.
Any questions or comments on that item? Nope. Be interesting to see how ours was kind of shifted from schools to street crime. We'll see whether we try to help both, or my intention was to include we discussed that with the Police Advisory Board. The meeting was supposed to take place in May. Following discussion with representatives of the Department of Justice who were going to make a presentation to that meeting, we had to postpone it until June. So the intent is still in June when we meet to have that letter on the agenda, and hoping that either the representatives coming from Halifax or Jean Leblanc can give us more information or clarification as to how it might impact on us here in this municipality. It's all good for that one. 9.6, Bobby Como Special Olympics. On behalf of Clare Special Olympics, we want to thank you sincerely for your generous donation during our Casino Night 2025. Because of contributions like yours, it was a great success. We're really happy to be part of a community that's so generous. Your gift will benefit our local athletes by financing uniforms, access to training facilities, as well as transportation and registration costs for winter and summer games. The Special Olympics offer to persons with mental handicaps the opportunity to participate in sporting activities, encouraging friendship, physical well-being, and health, allowing them to have a better, more independent life. Once again, thank you very much for your support. Bobby Como, Regional Coordinator, Clare Special Olympics. Any comments on that letter? Nope. So that's a nice event for everybody who participates. I think they look forward to participating every year. Number 10, report of the Chief Administrative Officer. Thank you. As usual, an overview of the projects, starting with the Clare Health Center and the expansion to the building. The not too much change on the top floor, because a lot of our efforts in completing the bottom, but just for information, all the bilingual signs are been set up in the new section. That's a good thing. As far as the lower floor, after a meeting that we had at the meeting, the offices on the lower floor, the 4 new offices, are complete. And I'm glad to say that we already have plans to have organizations in those offices. We have renters planned for that. The flooring is complete in the gym, in the new section downstairs. The change rooms are essentially complete. All that remains to be done is to install the mirrors. So it's basically done. We've installed a new water treatment system in the new part of the building. That's installed, it's functional. We're just waiting for the results of the test to make sure that everything is as it should be. The duct work is finished, has been cleaned. The air balancing will be done this week. The installation of the new generator was completed as well, and it was tested. As far as the outside, the grading of the lot, the grass seed has been sown, all that is done, and we are told that the commissioning will take place the week of May 26. So everything is planned for that week. Let's hope that we meet that target date. Also, as for the information of council, I had mentioned in my last report, but just to update you, as of May 20th, as you know, almost 100% of Clare residents have a family doctor at the medical center. The rostering is based on the list 811, which is a provincial list, but from that we are able to focus on the residents of the municipality of Clare from that who are on that list. As of May 20th, there were 61 people on the list for Clare who did not yet have a doctor. Of those 61 people, 25 have already been contacted to be matched with a doctor, which means that would leave 36 for the municipality. As was the case last month, we still have capacity to roster other patients beyond those 36. If there's somebody in the municipality of Clare doesn't have a family doctor, I encourage you to phone 811 to get placed on that list as soon as possible. We are in a very, very good situation with regards to our medical center and access to doctors in this community. As far as the Veterans Center, the installation of the outside siding is complete. Installation of the metal roof is almost complete. I see that they were putting the last few pieces today. Inside, they're installing a vapor barrier, the strapping in the main room. The drywall work has started. The contractors for HVAC are on site this week. We are currently waiting for quotes from Aberdeen and Texter to do the resurface the parking lot. The pavement, which was already in hard shape before the project, has been damaged further, so we've asked for prices as to what it might cost to reinstate it to the proper condition. There was a certain allocation in the budget to do a part of it, but obviously it's still a fairly big project. As I mentioned to the warden earlier tonight, access to the arena in the cenotaph is presently forbidden. We're working on the drainage systems. We had to do a trench on there. That's essentially to replace a pump. So I imagine that will be completed shortly. This week we received confirmation that the building for the center received its accreditation from Zero Carbon Building Design Certification. Essentially, it's a recognition that we're net zero ready, so we've had all the documentation, passed all the tests to get that certification. It's now officially, we can say that we're essentially net zero. As far as the project time frame, we're still on schedule. We're told that the project will be completed either the end of July or early August, so it's going very well. We hope that will continue. And I think I had mentioned last month that we're going to try to organize a visit for the councillors sometime in June to give you an idea what it looks like inside. For our sewer expansion project, essentially Sunset Road, we met with EXP on a few occasions. We have the scope of the project we agreed on a few changes. Everything is good. As far as the expansion of the water treatment, the tender will come out early June, and we hope to be able to award the tender in July. We also are planning to meet with EXP in Meteghan on May 29th, which is next Thursday. And that's to look at the updates necessary for the water treatment plant, sewage treatment plant in Meteghan. That's the second part of this project. For as far as the sidewalk project in Meteghan, the contractor was there last week with Aberdeen to look at a few deficiencies related, especially the paving that was done on the new section of sidewalk. There will be some work done by Aberdeen to smooth it out, patch some cracks, etc., and that is planned to start in July. The hydro seeding was done last week by R&D Harris. There were a few deficiencies that had been mentioned, nothing major, but had been identified by myself and the engineer. There was some drainage at one house that was impacted, a manhole cover that needed to be worked on, and a few items relative to landscaping, a driveway that needed some work. We still have that list, and we're addressing the items on that list as we can, but it hasn't been forgotten. The work will be done in the coming weeks. And on that project, all of the claims and the reports have been sent to the Government of Canada, Infrastructure Canada more specifically, as well as to the province. For our land use bylaw municipal planning strategy, you know it, you were here, the council met with Stantec on April 9th to do an evaluation or to review the documents. We have an open door session planned at 6:30 next Tuesday, May 27th, at the Meteghan Fire Hall. That's essentially to give the public a chance to ask questions or make comments with regards to these documents. In the meantime, the documents have been sent to the province of Nova Scotia on May 5th. Same thing, to give the province different provincial agencies to make comments, and essentially to ensure that we are meeting their requirements, because the new provincial requirements, the new legislation, is one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, why we are going through this exercise. So in the coming months, as I mentioned, in May we'll have the open house next week. In June, if we'll hope to proceed with first reading. In July, we hope to have a public hearing and second reading, and then the adoption of the new bylaw, and in July, once again, a closeout for the project. These documents would be for adoption by council, and then the project would be complete. We also spoke about an active transportation plan, so the community development team is preparing a request for proposals. We don't have a firm date yet, but we hope to come out with the RFP in June, which would be open for about 4 weeks, hoping that the tender could be awarded in July. effectively to launch that project. The project for accessible bathrooms at Parc Joseph-Marie Dugas, who had mentioned, the contractor for that project is Mid-Valley Construction Limited. We had a bit of difficulty meeting them on site, played a game of phone tag. That being said, a meeting with the Department of Public Works and Mid-Valley will take place this Friday afternoon on site. I had mentioned that we had asked the province under the Community Accessibility Program, which is offered by Nova Scotia Communities, Culture and Heritage, to help us pay the cost of those accessible washrooms. Unfortunately, our application was not accepted. The reason given was that the program was oversubscribed. There was more demand for the program than there was funding. So unfortunately, our application was turned down. That being said, it's still the intention of the municipality to go ahead with the project as planned. In the meantime, we will have temporary washrooms on site. So the activities for the park this summer, including the farm market, will be able to take place. As far as the Clare Acadian Tourism Initiative, that project, we're working to go ahead with that. Currently, we are in the planning stage for a cultural expo, which would take place on August 15th, 16th in Clare. That was one of the key items from that project. We have created many bilingual signs for 2025, or ads rather, that'll be on Facebook in collaboration with Tourism NS. We'll start seeing them on May 26th, and the focus of these ads would be focused on the maritime market, the Quebecois market, and Louisiana. Just for information, it's not specific to this project, but it's related to tourism. Larry and Caitlin participated at the Saltscapes Expo in Halifax, May 9th to 11th last week. That was one of our best ones that we participated in. A lot of visits to our booth, a total of 558 ballots. That's the most we'd had since 2019, and we received email from 326 visitors, which is the most we've ever received since we've participated at Saltscape. That allows us to do direct marketing to those people, so for us it's very useful. And also for information on tourism is that our website, www.baystmarie.com, was launched live this week. I invite you to go visit the site. For our Veterans Banner program, something we're working on. All of the forms and everything to apply for the program are in place. We are currently trying to verify with the company that would make these banners for us to ensure that everything is okay, especially the prices that they've quoted, to make sure that those are still valid. And for the first year, we're aiming for 20 banners for the inaugural year of this project, and we hope to be able to increase that number in future years. As far as the intake process to apply for a banner, we hope to be able to launch that in June. Before we do that, we're going to advertise it in Clare Shopper, on our website, on our Facebook page, etc. And we will also mention it to the Clare Veterans Association, because they remain a partner with us on this project, and there's an interest on them to help with the needs of their members for the purchase of a banner. For the time being, we think the total cost for a banner be $225. We will charge $175 to the families. The municipality will contribute $50 per banner, plus the costs associated with installing them. So that's what we plan for the time being, and there will be more news coming up on this shortly. And finally, as far as our finances are concerned, We're still at the beginning of our fiscal year, of course, for the time being. As of April 30th, 2025, the municipality recorded $11,209,171 in revenues versus $1,288,503 in expenses, for a operational surplus of $9,920,668. Again, as of April 30th, 2025, the municipality had a balance of $2,320,460 in its operating fund, $46,622 in its capital fund, and a total reserve balance of $3,964,856. So as far as the finances, we continue to be in a good situation.
Thank you for the report. Are there any questions or comments? Clarification, Councillor DeVoe? Thank you, Mr. Warden. Coming to the banners, I had a meeting last week with the Clare Veterans Association, and they mentioned, I think the association was giving $5,000. It's so the veterans will be giving $5,000 to pay on these banners. Thank you for this. Are there any other questions or comments? What's the comment? Come on. The waters for the sidewalks. Have we done anything about that? That is the Department of Finance that has this in their hands, and Josette has been phone calls on to Nova Scotia Power, and I cannot tell you any more this evening, but I can look into it and keep you posted by email. Are there other questions or comments? If not, it's going to bring us to committee reports. Are there any committee reports? Number 12, new business, motion to approve the capital budget for 2025-2026. You have in front of you the capital budget for this evening's meeting. It is the same budget that was presented at the committee council meeting. What we're proposing this evening is the value of projects, is the value is the contribution of the municipality in these projects would be 1.76 billion, which is a good leverage that we have. The first project on the list, and it's the biggest one, is to finish the work at the Veterans Center. There's $4,300,000 to invest, for factors to pay, and also funds to invest to finalize this project. You can see on the budget the different sources of financing that are seen, federal, provincial, and also from the municipality. The Canada Community Building Fund, which was previously known as the gas tax, which is federal funds received by the municipality to invest in priority program. What we're thinking to put 530,000 of this gas tax and invest it in the building to complete the project. For the municipal office, we're talking about preventative maintenance. All of our IT equipment is now on Windows 10, and after certain days that this year Windows 10 will not be supported, so I think they need to be upgraded, which forces us, for security reasons, to buy new computers and desktops. There's $20,250 to buy these computers. The furniture for the offices is $20,000. The new building for equipment storage is $180,000 and has been accepted already by council. Delmar Construction will be doing this project. The AC upgrades, the being polite, we had big problems last year. The building was built in '86 and it's the same equipment we have since then, and they are getting aged, and some of the system has been leaked, and it does quite a bit of damage, and we can't get the pieces now. So to replace this is 38,000. Still on heating system, the new valve thermostats for the building is the same thing. They don't function very well, and we'll have to replace them. 11,500. The cameras at the outside the edifice for security reasons. It's not a big item, but it's very important. 3,225, and the accessibility power door operator buttons 5,200, which is 280,000 invested on the building here. For the Joseph Maridigo, the new bathrooms accessible would be 182,000 as investment. What we're doing, the amounts that I'm giving you is what we are responsible for paying here, and includes the HST. For the health center in Clare, more so than the expansion project, there is also the same problem with the aging computers. For 16,750 new computers, 5,720 for security, and also water treatment in the old section of the building. If we consider the system needs to be replaced as it does not function properly now. So to ensure the water quality and the Department of Environment norms, the emergency lighting of the exit signs is fire code. We need those. And the last two items, the system for 4 doors and the new office is mostly for the security of the staff, which has been identified by the health center and also by the OHMS. Some situations here have been judged as non-secure. So we're talking of 71,000 supplementary expenses for the health center. The Metegan sewer extension, as I mentioned in the report, here I will think more in details for the financing. It's a project of 1.6 million. The contribution, the municipal contribution, is 415,000. This is already confirmed, as well as amounts that we will receive from Infrastructure Canada and Nova Scotia Department of this. Now we have to start this work. The transfer station, the heavy equipment that I spoke about earlier. If you allow me, I will come back to that item to talk a bit more in detail, but I will continue on public works. These are the sewer laterals for 25,000, which is an amount that's included every year. So if somebody wants to hook up on the sewer system of the municipal system, so we include an amount in our budget to allow this to be done. This is an example. If to buy pumps for Metegan, Church Point, this is to have spare ones, because it has happened in the past that at one of the transfer stations there are a risk element associated, so we need a spare for when one breaks down. We need to have these spare ones. So we're gonna start to buy these extra pumps just in case some of them get broken. Also the UV lights for Billy Bosco, also the generator building and the transfer switch. This is essentially the old generator that we had at the health center that was too small to operate the whole building with the new section. So the new generator has come in now, and the old one will be used at Billy Bosco Treatment Center. And operational wise for us, it is much more efficient for people who work in public works, and it simplifies their life and a lot of traveling between Metegan and other places in the municipality. So for me, it's something that is strategic, and it's an investment that's quite important from my point of view. To come back at the transfer station and the heavy equipment, to be more specific here, we're talking about the acquisition of an excavator. To give you a bit of context, during the winter months, we have around 3 loads of garbage per week that are trucked from our transfer station in Metegan either to Scotia Recycling in the Valley or in Queens. During the spring, summer and fall, this goes up to 5 loads per week, so there's a lot of volume that comes in and goes out from our transfer station. The way we are now loading the trucks, it's with the loader. The trucks go inside the building, and the loader puts the garbage in the trucks. Unfortunately, the loader is not high enough to be able to put it effectively in the trucks, because we cannot compact it, therefore we put less. And if we take the number of trips per week, and if the company is charging us tonnage fees, the maximum per trip is 25 tons, but with the loader we cannot compress it. We end up being underweight all the time. So last year the under tonnage was $3,500 per month. That's about $42,000 per year. If you look at the municipality of Digby or Yarmouth, they have a backhoe. They can load the trucks with the backhoe, and the backhoe is longer, and they can compact the load, so they can put more than we're able to do, and they're not charged over tonnage fees like we have. So we looked at the possibility of backhoe and an excavator, and the excavator ends up being less expensive and allows us to give us more flexibility regarding what we need to do at the transfer station. Just to give you an idea, in 2022, first year we had at the transfer station, the loader was in the building when the building was burning, so the loader was damaged quite a bit. So this was it operated without the loader for a while, so the insurance paid to hire a contractor with an excavator to load our trucks during this time. The first month, our under tonnage son went down to 3,000 to 1,042. The second, it goes from 2,300. And the third month, the tonnage fee was $18.48. So there's a big difference, because we are able, with an excavator, to compress the material. The loader has a usage for us to grade the road. It is us to clean up the site, and it still belongs to the transfer station, but it's the only number of that we have there, so it gives us a redundancy to work at the transfer station and elsewhere on the site. If something happens to the loader, it's not that it has a lot of hours, but since it has been in 2 fires, it is quite a bit damaged. It's also on the operational budget of this year, and all the years since I've been here, we allow around 2 weeks of work to hire a contractor with an excavator to come and do some work on the site, especially to sort out construction material. So that's $500 an hour, 8 hours. So for the $12,000 expense. So the buying an excavator, the logic was if we buy the excavator, we can save a lot on the under tonnage fee, and also it will also eliminate this $12,000 on our operational budget. So this money we can use elsewhere.
So for that work for 2 weeks, it's a tender. Spec Resources has been doing it for us for the last few years, and they know our C&D site, they know our needs, and it was the recommendation of their owner actually that we go ahead with the purchase of an excavator. It's a comment that was made by the owner of Spec Resources that what you really need there is an excavator. As I mentioned earlier, the excavator could feed the chipper, which is what we use to treat the wood, but could also be used on site. If you went there lately, there are large piles of wood. There's some catch-up work to be done there, but it's not just wood. There's other piles of material that need to be sorted because sometimes it arrives at the site unsorted. And there's material there which is not wood. We receive, especially lately, we get a lot of boats. They're there to get them. The contractors arrive and here's a boat, and it's just dumped there. So that has to be sorted. An excavator with a grapple attachment could do the work. We have the old foundation from the old Legion Hall in Sonyville that landed there. It's all concrete. It's there in a big pile. That has to be moved, and the excavator could help us with that. Nova Scotia Environment asked us to clear a section of the C&D site between us and the tree line, so that was cleared. So now the non-combustible can go there. The wood can't, but the concrete, for example, could be there. As far as being able to manage the site, move some stuff around, the excavator certainly gives us the flexibility and better efficiency that we don't have, much more than what a backhoe would do. And certainly, I think it would add to what we have currently, that is the loader. We looked at the insurance to see who could operate the loader. The question was asked to our insurance company. I'm waiting for an answer. That being said, we looked at the Wilderness Act of Nova Scotia. It's allowed, as a municipality, we can designate an operator for that machine. It's not something that requires a certification from an accreditation body, as long as we, as a municipality, as long as we're ready to recognize them as being qualified to operate it, and we're doing that with our Adrien and Junior currently both operate the loader under those same conditions. I'm getting to the end. I just wanted to give you some background because it's a fairly major item. The cost for the excavator, 14-ton excavator, Sani. We looked at different brands, all 14 tons. That was what was recommended. The item is 188,000 plus tax. So what you see in the budget includes the non-refundable portion of the tax, 196,199. We looked cash flow to see whether capital leasing was an option. That is, the interest rates are fairly high, 6.1% interest rate, which represent the 3,500 plus HST per month. If we were to do that for a period of 5 years, the total cost of borrowing would be 218,567. So about 30,000 more to finance the purchase. Going forward, we know there will be some turnover in staff. Junior has already told us that he thinks he might retire in October this year. That being said, in preparation for that, we're going to start a process to hire a new manager. Before doing that, we're going to review the job description, revise, not just for the manager, but also for the transfer station attendant, to put a focus on heavy equipment operation. It will not necessarily be an obligation that they be certified, but at least that there's some experience. We're going to say that that would be an asset. So the emphasis in the future will be to focus on, as a condition of employment, because it's something that we see, Danielle and I, it's something that from an operational level, that's something that will be useful going forward. So as I said, that's the background that I wanted to provide for this item. Normally I would have done it 2 weeks ago, but I didn't have all of that information, and I apologize for that. But it's a large amount to ask of you, but I'm open to answering questions if you have them. The recommendation from the Director of Public Works and I is that we go ahead with the purchase, but as I said, I'm open to a discussion of that. Questions or comments on the proposal? Just a question. With the expectations that we had for this machine, do we have the manpower that you have to do all of that, or will we need to hire an additional employee to do this work? I discussed it with Junior. Junior can operate an excavator. He's done it before. Adrien, I'm not sure. Currently, to load trucks, I imagine there would be learning curve. I would think that Junior, with his experience, would come fairly quickly, but the intent is that when we hire a new manager for the transfer station, there will be a period of 1 or 2 months, at least a month, where Junior will still be there and the new person will be there to do a transition, learning with Junior. The intent of Danielle, when he talked to me, is to have that machine on site to give Adrien and Junior a chance to get used to it. And once the new person comes in, Junior and possibly Adrien could work with them to familiarize them with the new machine, but especially for loading trucks, that our guys are comfortable with it before a new person comes in, and when the new person comes in, they could help train that person in loading. It wasn't the trucks that were concerned, it's all the work that we want to do. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. The machine will have to work. The question is, do we have sufficient manpower to run the transfer station and the C&D site at the same time? There's no doubt that there's some catch up to be done at the C&D site. especially with the piles of wood, the chipper that we have. I'll be the first to admit that the chipper has not run as much as it should have. It should have been running a lot more. And we talked to Danielle and I, and the people at the transfer station are aware of that. So the focus will be on that. We just hired a new spare for the transfer station. Something that we haven't done before, and it's included in the budget, is we're guaranteeing a certain number of hours per week. It's not a lot, it's 4 hours per week. But it could be more if needed, and the person is certainly interested. To reply to your question, do we have all the manpower that we need? I'm not sure. The idea is to try to find a winning formula to at least make a dent in the backlog. It's not to say that the excavator will always be at the C&D side. It will be there, but it will also be at the transfer station. But even if the excavator is at the transfer station, the loader can be at the C&D side to filling up the chipper. Right now it's one or the other because we only have one machine. I don't know if I've answered your question, but I would hope to have more results, more efficiency on operations. And I hope that we'll be able to make some meaningful progress. Other questions or comments on that? Councillor DeVoe. Thank you, Mr. Warden. The machine, if we buy it, is that new or used? That's a new machine off the lot. We haven't really looked at used. Maybe we could have had. It's always a concern. I don't know that enough. I only know enough to be dangerous, you know. But there are some people who said you'd be better off to look at buying new equipment. So the prices that I mentioned tonight, that's a new machine, 14 ton. It includes rubber tracks to not damage the floor at the transfer station. There's a blade on it. There's a thumb on it. There are attachments that we will need to operate our site in the transfer station. So if you can guarantee us, maybe we could go up from $18 to $20. If the underweight tonnage would be eliminated, would it pay for it? If we look at the lease, it's a coincidence, but I'm told that on average we pay about $3,500 per month on under tonnage, and that's spread over maybe 20 loads. Sounds like a lot, but that's spread over many loads in a month, but it's nonetheless, if we say that's $42,000 per year. The capital lease payments of $3,507 plus HST for 5 years. If we could eliminate the under tonnage or at least reduce it, it will essentially pay for the lease on the machine. But we're not leasing it, we're buying it. So yes, it's an upfront cost, and it's a large item. That's why I wanted to present you all the facts. But the machine will pay for itself over 5 years, maybe 4 years. But the key will be on our capacity to eliminate the under tonnage, which should be done. We've seen it. Spec did it. Certainly, Spec has experienced operators. But for the few months that we had him there was still some volume coming in. The garbage keeps coming in, and we saw the under tonnage fee went down. But it took a month before the operator got used to it. And that's why we were thinking, try to give a chance for the people to get used to this before the new staff comes in. If we wait for the new staff later, then those people will have the opportunity to learn too. But as I said, we at least wanted to have the discussion here today to see what you think. Just a comment. I've been there many times at our site, and I find that for the size of a site that we have, it's fairly large. That one tractor, one machine, running all of that. First time I went there, I looked to see where the other tractors were, because I expected to see more equipment. I couldn't see how one tractor could run that whole site. So certainly I think it would help us to have a second machine. It would be more efficient. Do you want to discuss it further, or are you in agreement? Do you want, it's the largest expense in the budget, for sure. I don't know if there's anybody else. We can, it's the only sticky item that stands out, but if you're all in agreement, I can ask for a motion. If you all agree. Yep. All I need is, you had finished all the others? Unless you had questions on the other items, I would try to reply to answer, but if not, that completes my presentation. If there are no other questions or comments, is somebody prepared to move? Councillor DeVoe? This includes what we talked about. I move that the capital budget for the municipality and the municipality of District of Clare be approved as presented on Wednesday, May 21st, 2025.
Proposed by Councillor DeVoe, seconded by Councillor Evans. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. This brings us to first point, a motion to approve the financing of volunteer fire department capital funding expenditures for 2025-26. Yes, thank you. This every year, as you know, for those who are listening to us online, we ask all our fire departments to give us a plan, a capital plan for the next 5 years, essentially to give us an idea of what we must we need as necessary investments for their operations. The money that we utilize to finance this is the 5 cents that is charged on the tax every year. So we have received the departments from the 7 municipal departments for this fiscal year 25-26, and based on the money that we had to invest this year, we have 220,000 available to use this year, which represent us fairly large expenditure. So we have about 30,000 more compared to last year, which is a good thing. So looking, you have the list of what was asked by the departments. What was noticed specifically this year is a lot of the were protective gear, bunker suits, CBA tanks, all of the things that they use on calls, and equipment that is essential for them to do their jobs in a secure manner. So I'm glad to be able to say that we were able to accommodate almost all of the items that were presented to us this year, plus the few commitments that we had made last year, mostly for Sabanor and for you have the list in front of you. We passed it a couple of weeks ago. It has not changed since that meeting. It represents a total investment for $216,737. There's a $2,000 or $3,000 loose, but there's things that are changed We know that the markets now are quite volatile with the tariffs these days, but we think that this budget might vary a little bit during the year, but I'm asking you to accept this with the amount of 216,000. Is there somebody who would like to propose this? I move that the Council of the Municipality of the District of Clare approve the proposed 2025 Volunteer Fire Department capital funding expenditures as presented. Proposed by Conseiller Como and seconded by Councillor DeVoe. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. 12 by motion to adopt the fire services review. We've been working on this one for quite a while, as you know. We met on May 7th with our consultant, EMV, Emergency Management Group, to discuss the fire service review. It gave us the chance to ask many questions and ask for clarifications when need be, and to assure us that we were well situated with the report that was presented. I think that was the case. It was a productive meeting, and at the end of the meeting there were a few small revisions that were made to make the report clearer. Nothing was removed from the document itself. So this being said, the motion to recommend to the council adopt the fire services review. This was given on the meeting of the 7th May. We received the revised version. You have it in your package with just very minor adjustments. So this being done, if you agree, I would like a motion to adopt the 2025 fire services review. If you think it's good to adopt it, the intention would be to give a copy to the CF Emergency Management Group and the fire chiefs for each fire station, and a hard copy for everybody if you want to do this motion. Questions or comment on this one? If not, is there somebody who wants to propose? Councillor? I move that the Council for the Municipality of the District of Clare adopt the 2025 Fire Services Review as prepared by Emergency Management Group. Proposed by Deputy Warden Poitier, seconded by Councillor Hill. Motion carried. So 5 or 6 business days before these electronic copies come out. This gives us to 12.4, motion to appoint investigators for the Code of Conduct for Municipal Elected Officials. Earlier this year, the province, with the proposal of the municipalities of Nova Scotia and the Association of Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities, they adopted a conduct Code of Conduct for the municipally elected official. The code is now one of the items that is remain for us to do as a municipality is to appoint or name investigators to in the case there was a complaint that would be brought to our attention. It's when council or a member of council or even a member of the staff, we can, under the act, they can ask that an investigation be done. In this case, we used to have an independent investigator. Then it is it's recommended that we don't use our lawyer. When there is a need to do this, there are many municipalities who suggested that we use their legal counsel this can present conflicts of interest or perceived conflicts of interest, and I don't think it's the best procedure to use. So there is an RSP that we create a standing offer that I gave you a copy of the list of these investigators at the last meeting. Most of the lawyer firms, legal firms, were very reputable, and they have navigated successfully all such investigations. So there's a firm that we know, Wickwire Bryson LLP and Birchall McDougall. What interests me here particularly is she is one of the authors of the Code of Conduct for the elected municipal councillors, so she knows this very well. So my recommendation would be that we go with this company as investigators. A better practice that came out also was that we should not limit necessarily to one firm, because we have worked with these people in the past. If there is a complaint presented against one councillor, they can investigate their case. But if it's an employee, member of the staff of the municipality, it does present certain conflict of interest situations. So there, other municipalities have named 2 investigators, and what I'm presenting you is to have Wickwire Bryson LLP, and second one as Birchall McDougall LLP as investigators. This is what I proposed this evening, and I'd ask a motion this evening that we appoint these 2 firms as our investigators. So somebody who can propose this.
I move that the council for the municipality of the District of Clare appoint Burchell Wickwire Bryson LLP and Burchell McDougall LLP as its investigators as required per the Code of Conduct for the Municipal Elected Officials Regulations.
Propose par.
Moved by Councillor Hill, seconded by Councillor Cooper. For, against, carried. I hope we never have to use their services. 12.5, a motion to approve funding of a side-by-side we were approached by the fire departments in the municipality to consider the purchase of a side-by-side. The idea is that it would allow them to have access to land where their regular trucks can't get to. It would allow them to bring equipment or firefighters to fight fires or as needed. We hope that wouldn't be the case, or to bring people who have been injured out. We've had a lot of discussion on how it might work, who would buy it, how much would it cost, how would it be outfitted. Certainly, we talked earlier when we from the province, as far as the fire services review and everything has to do with climate change. We saw last year there were a lot of forest fires. There was one in Havelock, a small one, but compared to others, but nonetheless was worrisome. And I think that'll be the new normal. In that context, the purchase of a side-by-side, for the reasons I mentioned, makes sense. I discussed it with Lyle Quam as part of the fire services review, just to get his idea, and based on his experience, because he has a lot of knowledge in this area, and he said that this is very common. It's a reasonable purchase, and there's a need for that type of equipment. So certainly that was something that he supported. So to proceed, I've had a lot of discussion with members of the CFFA as well as different fire departments. The last meeting we had with them, we had asked them before proceeding with the purchase to provide us with some quotes, as we would do with any other purchase, to justify the amount money asked. We asked questions with regards to insurance. We asked questions with regards to where that side-by-side would be stored or kept, simply to ensure ourselves that it's strategic, that that department has the ability to transport it, etc. So since then, we had the answers to all our questions, so I'm satisfied that they have met the conditions that we asked them to meet. That being said, based on the quotes that we got, we're proposing a purchase 49,000 purchased locally, I should say, of a side-by-side, as well as the required equipment to outfit it, and a small trailer, for a total of $49,076 plus HST. So the motion, the way we wrote it, is that we would approve up to that amount. The reason is that there is one item that we got a quote that was from an American company. It's a fairly expensive item. The intent of the fire departments and the CFFA was to see if it was possible to have that made locally at a lower cost. We think it's doable, and certainly we would want that, as far as insurance and Canadian standards, that it doesn't create additional risk, but that everything would be correct with that. But we think that if that's the case, it might be a little bit less than 49,076. The reason it's for that amount is if ever we have to order that American equipment, just to ensure ourselves that we have the motion in place to allow us to purchase that as presented. If you're in agreement, I would ask you to make the motion for the purchase of the side-by-side. Questions or comments on this item? If not, Councillor DeVoe. Thank you, Mr. Warden. I will move that the Council for the Municipality of the District of Clare approve up to $49,076 plus HST for the purchase of a side-by-side ATV and related equipment for the municipality's volunteer fire services. Moved by Councillor DeVoe, seconded by Councillor Comeau. All in favor? Against? Carried. So that's the second, another thing that I hope we never need to use. 12.6, motion to approve road naming request, Jedri Maya Lane. Yes, we were asked to approve a new road. We are in favor of the request. As is our practice, we approached all the property owners who would be impacted by this proposed name. In this case, there were 4. All 4 are in agreement on the name. So it's unanimous. As per our policy, because everybody's in agreement, there's no problem. It's a bilingual name. In English, Jedrimaya Lane. In French, Ruelle Jedrimaya. So it's our recommendation that we accept the request. Questions or comments on that item? If not, is somebody prepared to move? Councillor Evans. I move that the Council for the Municipality of the District of Clare approve the road naming request for the road shared by PID's property identification number listed below as follows. In French, Ruelle Jedrimaya. In English, Jedrimaya Lane. Moved by Councillor Evans, seconded by Councillor Hill. For, against, carried. 12.7, motion to approve municipal tax exemption, Centre Communautaire de la Baie Sainte-Marie and the Clare Columbus Club. I was approached 2 weeks ago by a member of the Matagan Lions Club to essentially tell me that they have changed their name. They've decided to go ahead with a rebranding for valid reasons, and the new name of the organization will be the Centre Communautaire de la Baie Sainte-Marie. The mission of the group and their activities are focused to try to help the community and those who need help. None of that will change. All the activities will be the same. It's simply a name change for the organization. As part of the same discussion, I was asked if there was the possibility to do something with regards to their tax bill. They found that it was a little bit expensive. They wanted to see if the council would be open to approve a tax exemption, at least in part. So obviously, the organization adds a lot of value to the community. They do a lot of good for a lot of people. When I looked at this and discussed it in the past, I think we're in agreement that if we do something, we have to do it for similar organizations. And in this case, there was only just 2 who were taxed that way with a similar mandate. So it was the Lions, the former Lions, the Baie Sainte-Marie Community Center, as well as the Knights of Columbus. The Knights did not approach us for a partial tax break. I'm quite sure they won't be opposed to that, but I think it's more equitable if you do it for one, you do it for both. So we looked at it. I talked to Robin Fuller, who's responsible for taxes, and what she proposed, the way we calculate the current formula, is a formula that was implemented many years ago, long before my time here, but it is something, it's more complicated than it might appear. So what we looked at is a couple of options, and in your package I tried to explain them, put them in writing so that you could see it. We looked at options, status quo if we don't change anything, said what it might mean for the group. The second would be if they were taxed commercial, and then if we give them a 50% exemption. The third one was to be equivalent to residential taxation and give them a 50% reduction on that. So the table you have before you represents what each scenario would represent for each organization. For what it's worth, Robin's and my recommendation, we felt that it was fair, but it represented a sound management on our part. When it comes to municipal taxation, would be option 2. It represents a significant reduction for them. In the case of the community center, it's a reduction of about $500. In the case of the Knights, it represents a reduction of about $600. So certainly doesn't eliminate it, but nonetheless it's a substantial reduction, and I think it would be appreciated by both groups. In talking to the representative of the community center, he said anything that you could do to help us, at the end of the day, that's money that we can reinvest in the community. So my recommendation is that we do something. We're recommending option 2, but if you opt for option 3, I'm open to that as well. It's just to give you some options for your consideration. Questions or comments? If not, somebody prepared to move? Councillor Como? I move that the Council for the Municipality of District of Clare approve a tax exemption for the Centre Communautaire de la Baie-Sainte-Marie and the Clare Columbus Club, wherein both groups are taxed fully at the commercial tax rate and then given a 50% tax rebate. Moved by Councillor Comeau, seconded by Councillor Cooper. For? Against? Carried. That completes number 12. There's nothing tonight in closed session. The next meeting will be June 18th, 2025 at 7 p.m. and we are open to a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Evans. Good night, everybody.